So what the situation we have right now is we have loaded image planes on the side view and on the top view. Right here is the top view and right here is the side view. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start creating my geometry on the side view and then adjust the positioning of my top view consistently as where I need it, and then kind of shape that, the alligator from the top. So let me start what I did last time from a box. That is, I'm going to go in here. Or another thing I might do that I'm really always interested in doing is put these two image planes on a separate layer so that, I can lock it, I can turn them off when I'm done. So at least I have like a separate layer where these are tucked in. So I'm going to go under layers and say, since these two are selected, I'm going to say create layer from selected. So now my alligators images or drawings are in a devoted layer. Then what I'll do is once I create my surface, I'll put that one on a separate layers as well. So I start from a box. Let's do what we call box modeling. What we might do if we're fast enough on the box modeling is show you how you could do it actually from curves as well, by creating a series of circles and then lofting them together. But let's start from a box for now. So I get this little box that is always put in the center as it should. I'm going to hit R or resize or scale, whatever you call it, and scale it so that is the right kind of size, matches the tummy of my alligator, right? And it's doing pretty good. It's, I can make it a little bit skinnier, or maybe not. What I'll do is I'll make it a little bit wider, have an extrusion in the front, and then an extrusion for the front leg, and then keep extruding it for the head. So I'm going to first do my extruding to the front side of the alligator, and then obviously I'm going to go and do the back of the alligator. So I'm going to work from my box and move it. Though it's kind of important here, right here, that we try to also match the thickness of the alligator a little bit, right? Even though we'll reshape things a little bit once we have it kind of roughed up. But let's kind of make it a little bit wider as well so that I kind of match the top view of the alligator. All right. So now I'm kind of ready to somehow extrude, and you do that in the perspective view. So I'm going to right mouse click, I'm going to choose face, I'm going to select the front face, and I'm going to go in the extrude command that is in the poly modeling tab, or the poly modeling shelf as a tab. So I'm going to hit extrude right there, and I get my extrusion that is totally cool. I'm going to actually start clicking and dragging, but I want to see what I'm doing in the side view. The side view is kind of what I'm going to start from. So I'm going to click and drag in here, or in here, either way. Actually, let's go to the side and start clicking and dragging. So I'm going to, as I said, I'm going to drag it to be about before the legs. Then, if you notice, I dragged onto this arrow, but I also need to make it a little bit skinnier. So I'm going to drag onto this box and kind of close it a little bit. So it's a bit skinnier. It's not as wide as the tummy, right? You could also kind of move it a little bit. Take this arrow and kind of move it up a little bit. So it starts kind of going up to where the head is supposed to be. So raise your hand if you have questions or if you need time. Otherwise, I'm going to keep going. Yes? How do you select a face? Okay, you go in the perspective view. Generally, your object is in object mode, so it looks green. You right mouse click and go and choose which component you want, in our case, face. Then you go in and select the face you want. Yes, Kaylee? You had a question?
Oh, no, that was the same question.
Cool. So I can extrude this one. So I'm going to hit G, that is the shortcut to launch the last command I did. And again, I'm going to go on the side view so I know how long to extrude, and I'm going to click and drag. Now I'm going to extrude as long as the length of the legs, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the bottom of this extrusion, the faces that I'm creating on the bottom, and extrude them down to make the legs later on, right? So I'm going to do that, and then what I want to do is I want to kind of like potentially later on start shaping it that this object goes up. So how do I do that? One way to do it is to go under object mode, go under vertex, take this vertex, hit W, and move it up. So that's one way I could do it. It's kind of already start shaping my vertices as I want them to. Yes?
So I'm having this issue where when I'm selecting one face, it's selecting the face on the opposite side, and then when I extrude it.
Oh, you are on symmetry mode. So if you go under this modeling toolkit, I believe, You have to go under symmetry and make sure you're off. Do you see that right there? Is it off? Okay, perfect. So now you should be good, Dominic. All right, so let's keep extruding. I'm going to go back here and once again select that face. So I'm going to go and say face, select that face and hit G again, or let's hit extrude, whatever you want is up here, so it's not too far. And again, I'm going to go in the side view and I'm going to extrude a little bit more. So now the head is moving up, right? So what I need to do is play between the extrude, the scale, and kind of move things up like that. For now, I'm using the arrows. I'm not kind of like, you could go in the middle and start dragging and it wouldn't respect the axis of the Maya axis, the X, Y, and Z. But for now, I'm going to use the arrow just because it keeps it a little bit simpler to have everything more like perpendicular. And if I want to make things a little bit skinnier, I generally switch to vertex mode. I select my vertex, and again, I hit W, and I use my arrow to move my vertex up. But so far, everything is kind of always staying perpendicular to my y-axis, you know, or parallel to my y-axis and perpendicular to the others. So I'm going to keep extruding, go back in here, do my same process of going under face, hit G, so I'm going to extrude again, and just keep going to shape this alligator as I want it to. And keep in mind, there will be a point, like now, for example, that you will want to use these little boxes and tuck it in because the alligator is starting to kind of have more like a shape that is kind of like, I can pull it out. I might go and switch to vertex, grab this vertex, hit W and move it up a little bit. So little by little, I'm shaping my alligator from the side view. And every time then when I'm done with that part, I go in here, I choose face, and I hit G to extrude again. So if you don't kind of like explain it, generally this takes you like minutes. So I'm going to scale it down a little bit. It's starting to look pretty good, guys. I can tell already. And you can always, when you're done with the overall shape, still go back in and tweak the vertices and stuff. So I'm going to hit G again. I was already kind of with the face selected. I'm going to go in here, scale it down. So I'm basically playing with my extrude, move, scale to give it the shape I want it. I'm going to hit G again, and I move it down again like this. I'm going to scale it a little bit, and then I give it one last G for the little tip of the snout. There we are. So I should be doing okay in the front. I'm going to go always, when I'm done, I generally go in object mode. I go in here and I start looking at it in the kind of like more or less the view. We haven't done much with the top for now, so just leave it alone. I'm glad actually the top is in the right position at least. Life is good. So I'm going to right now do the same process but extrude from the back so that I kind of eventually get the tail. And then obviously I will go underneath, do my multi-cut tool, so I split the two legs and then I start extruding from there. But for now, you should just be simply here with just starting from the belly, extruding out to the snout, and now we're going to extrude out to the tip of the tail. Is everybody good? So I'm going to go in here once again. I'm going to choose face, and I'm going to select this face. And then again, I'm going to go in my side view, and I hit my extrude command. And extrude it out. Now I'm going to extrude it out all the way to the end of this leg because that is going to be the face at the bottom, and then I extrude the leg down from, right? So life is good. And then I'm going to hit G again and keep extruding. Now make sure that keep faces together is on. This should be because that's the default, but you never know. I'm going to hit command middle mouse button to scoot it over so this thing is not in my way. You could also have moved to this if you wanted to. I'm going to try to point it down a little bit because the tail is going down before it goes back up. I'm going to hit G again, and I keep kind of extruding, moving down. I don't even know if I need to make it skinnier at this point. Probably not. Hit G, extrude, make it a little bit skinny, move it down by pulling on this arrow. Extrude again. Just keep doing this process until when I get to a point that my shape seems to be roughed, at least on the side view. Then we obviously will need to go in the top and see what happens on the top view, but that's okay. Move it up a little bit. Again, I'm gonna scoot it over. I can maybe zoom in so I see what I'm doing. Hit G again. You move it up this time. You know what I'm gonna do? Actually, I'm gonna give it a little bit of a last extrude for the tip of the tail. So I'm gonna hit G one more time, and this goes up and really gets scaled down quite a bit. It's really the tip of the tail. Okay, so I'm gonna go and say object mode. I'm gonna go in my perspective view. If I hit 3, it's gonna start looking pretty sexy. That is good. Not there yet because everything is the same width on the top view, and that's not cool, right? In our image plane down here, I can see that the width actually changes. But it's starting to shape up. That is, life is good. And then later on, we can also make the eyes and everything else. Yes?
One of the boxes for my extrusions just turned dark.
You have the reverse normal. I showed you that last class. Let me show you. So let me go back to 1, because remember, it's important that you don't work on smooth display mode. You really want to work on 1, because that's really what your surface is. The smooth is only a preview, as if you smoothed it. So what I showed you last class, and I forgot if it was this cylinder or not, but I'm going to create one for the sake of it. Create a cylinder. I'm going to hit W and move it out of the way. So if you actually go here right now and create a cylinder, and then you go and you say face, and you remove the top faces, the top part, do you see that you have a situation in which you have the exterior that is kind of a gray color and the interior that is a different color? The interior is the black stuff is not going to be assigned the materials. It's not kind of the part that is important is the part that is gray. So if I was to assign a material to this object, it would assign it to the outside that is gray, but not to the inside. So if you create an object that shows to be black at the outside, means it's really technically is because your normals are flipped. That means that face, the positive side, is reversed. So what you need to do is select that object in object mode. So try to do that, Mars. So select this in object mode. And then go under surfaces, reverse direction. And that should do it. Okay, so let me finish up the alligator really quick. And then I'm going to stop this video and actually help out by coming and debugging stuff. Now, one problem I have right now is that I cannot really see what my image plane. So I taught you a little trick last class. Do you guys remember? It was super cool. You can go under shading and choose this X-ray mode, and all of a sudden I can see through my mesh. The life is good. By the way, while I'm at it, I'm actually going to put this mesh on a separate layer. So I have the mesh selected. I'm going to go under layers, and I say create layer from selected. So now I have image planes in one layer and my mesh in the other. Life is good. So now what I need to do obviously right now is shape this top view of my alligator to match the drawing I have. And the drawing I have, sorry, is a tiny bit crooked. So we might have to kind of like, fix it a little bit, but that's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to command, control, click and drag. So I'm going to zoom onto the head. I'm going to go with you can do multiple things. One is you can go with the vertices. Select a series of vertices like this and say, okay, these all needs to be scaled down. So you hit R and you grab this box and tuck them in. Sometimes it works. Sometimes you really have to do it more at an individual level. So you might want to go and say, okay, vertex, and you grab those vertices right here and hit W and start kind of tucking them in however you really want to. Like you say, look, these guys all needs to come in. These need to come in, and these need to come in. So what I did is I selected my my vertex. I went into right mouse click on my object, chose vertex, and then went in and started massaging my vertices. As I said, sometimes you can do it more on a rough way like this, just tuck things in a global way, and sometimes you might want to go in and shape it however you want to. Generally, it's pretty quick no matter what. You know what I mean? It's kind of pretty good that. I'm going to move this actually a little bit up like this, or like down maybe. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go down, hit R, get a little bit skinnier, hit W, move my points, a little bit out like that. Now we could add definition in here. In fact, we probably will when it's time to make the eyes. But for now, I'm just taking those vertices and kind of shaping my alligator at the top level. Like for example, on this side it looks pretty good, but on this side it's not. So I'm going to grab the vertices on this side and pull them out like this. And as I said, you might need to eventually add a little geometry, but that's okay. I always like to start with a bare bone and then kind of go from there. At least I have something that I know at the beginning is beautifully clean and simple. As you can see, I'm using, without even knowing, I'm zooming in, zooming out, just kind of like, almost like comes natural to kind of do this, go Command, and middle mouse button to pan, or kind of like use all I can to kind of do my zooming and stuff so that I can see what I did. Well, isn't it funny to have an alligator with a tail? Yes.
Can you show us how to make it the X-ray mode again?
How to make it what?
The X-ray thing.
You go under shading and choose X-ray mode. Thanks for asking. Yeah, if I say something a little too fast, please ask me a question because I love to answer. Yes, Eric.
How do you add a vertex? Is it possible to add a vertex in this mode, like between two?
You have to add I'll show you later, it's called add an edge loop. You don't add one vertex, you need to add it all around, right? Because you want always quads and triangles. So I'll show you in a minute, just cope with me. Yes, Mars.
It's not letting, it says you need to select a surface in order to reverse it.
Can I, as soon as I'm done with this video, come and help you, I promise. Is something, do you remember when I explained that if you have polys or if you have nerves to reverse, you have two different commands? It used to be only one, but then they split it, so we need to find the other command. There's no problem. I'll be there in a minute. So here we are. So right now, let me actually try to show you how we're doing pretty well for now, and I want to show you how you can, if you want to add definition, insert an edge loop. That it means, how do I insert extra, like, divisions if you need to. Let me go back though to object mode and hit 3. So we're starting to see that it looks good from the top and from the side. It's starting to look pretty good. Starting to really kind of take the shape of an alligator if I smoothed it. So there are various ways by which you can add definition. One way is to really go and smooth it. So let's say you want to say, I want to add definition everywhere. This thing is really too bare bones. So you can go under, I think it's edit mesh smooth, or here it is under mesh smooth right here. So if you do that, do you see that all of a sudden you added a whole lot of definition to it? I'm going to do Command Z. Another way to do it is to say, okay, what if I want to add one extra division in here somewhere? Because I feel like the neck is too short. It needs a little bit more here to kind of taper down correctly. So one way to do it is to insert an edge loop that I never remember where is on here. So is under Mesh Tools, Insertion and Edge Loop, but it's also a symbol on the shelf. I just never remember which one it is. So here it is. So if you go in and insert Edge Loop, and by the way, I encourage you to Command-Shift click and so that it goes in the custom. So I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to go in here, go under Insert Edge Loop, but before I let go, I do Command-Shift. So I add it in here. There it is. So I just add it also in my custom shelf because I might use it a bunch of times. And tools that you really do use a lot is really smart to have it in your shelf tab. Again, how do you do it? You go in the tool where you need it, and you do, for example, Command. I said for example because I was looking for another one I could do I can add to the shelf. Multicut is a really good one too. So if I do Command-Shift and then click on this multi-cut, it will add it to my shelf. Now, I should also tell you though that if you go in here under the modeling toolkit, multi-cut is in there as well. Just letting you know. But now I have it in two places. Okay, I need to insert an edge loop, and I know this is the symbol because I just created it earlier, this shelf item on a custom shelf that I had open. So I'm gonna go in here, and then I move over. Oh, sorry, I need to have it selected, and then I don't remember if I had it selected. And then I move over here. I don't know why it's not letting me do it. Why it's not letting me do it? Sorry. Let me try again. Insert edge loop. mysteriously, right now it's giving me trouble. Generally what happens is it turns into an arrow that you can click and it allows you to insert edge loops. I have no idea why it's not doing it right now. It's a mystery. And it should be actually selected in this object mode. So, Now one thing that Maya does, and you guys experienced it in the past, let me actually go in the options and reset the tool right now. Reset tool right here. One thing that Maya does, unfortunately, is sometimes it gets corrupted. You guys probably remember that, right? You had already in the past classes something that would misbehave for no reason. So unfortunately, Maya does that sometimes, even with simple models like this one. Now, does yours work? It does, huh? So my computer is having a problem at the moment. So let me stop the video, maybe save my model, restart. And when you restart in this computer lab, it refresh all the defaults and the preferences and everything gets back to track. Obviously right now, for some mysterious reason, is not wanting to let me do it. Click and drag on edges, right? I am, but nothing happens. Oopsie. Anyway. All right, let me try it one last time to see if I can avoid restarting everything. Yeah, it's not letting me do it. Okay, let's stop the video and take the time anyway to come around and help you guys, and then we start from here.